Hello and welcome back to the fourth annual State of Movies Address, where we close out the year before, talk a little about the year ahead, and then I do my annual collection update at the end, which is always a lot of fun. Overall, I'd say 2025 was frustrating. My fellow movie lovers, I say 2025 was frustrating because the culture war was won a long time ago. The people have spoken. We have rejected preachy movies, woke nonsense, trans stuff, and other things shoved into our media. And yet, the shoving continues. Winning the culture war was not an easy victory. It was not a short battle. It raged on for almost 10 years. After a long and hard-fought battle, what you want is rest. Now, us movie lovers, we can find rest in old favorites, and there's plenty to discover from years past, but what we all want is for movies to be good again, to be great again. And they just aren't. Despite the demand for good old-fashioned movies being higher than ever, the supply remains lower than ever. There's not quite as many woke movies as there used to be, which is a huge plus. I'd say we're at circa 2010, 2012 levels of propaganda right now, instead of 2022 levels, which were insane. The goal is really early 80s or less. So woke movies really aren't at pandemic levels anymore, which is good, like they have been for so many years. But there's a new problem, which is slop at an all-time high. And I would say slop is the new clear and present threat to the state of movies. So moviegoers face a choice now, which is woke nonsense or slop. Of course, most of them choose to stay home, which is why the box office is still not what it was at levels before the virus, which has been a non-issue for almost half a decade now. So why is it taking so long for the movie business to get back on track? Well, before we get into that, there are some encouraging signs, and I want to point those out. Two come to mind straight away. Sydney Sweeney's jeans ad for American Eagle marks the return of the straight white spokesman in a big way, or spokeswoman in this case. A major brand running a whole ad campaign featured solely around a straight white woman who is conventionally beautiful and not ethnically ambiguous in any way. That's actually a big step. The second indicator is the movie F1. It did really well at the box office, which isn't surprising, but somehow it got nominated for Best Picture. A no-nonsense feel-good movie with a straight white male lead and zero woke nonsense. No lesbian couples, no gay couples, no feminist grandstanding, none of that. Got nominated for Best Picture. The last time that happened was actually Top Gun Maverick from the same director, Joseph Kosinski, but that was one of those Best Picture nominees where the Academy had no choice. Top Gun Maverick dominated the box office and water cooler conversation for months. The last time a movie like F1 got nominated, this old-fashioned, no-nonsense, feel-good movie, was Ford v Ferrari back in 2019. This is a big step. Now, it probably only got nominated because Apple, who co-produced it, probably led a big campaign to get it nominated because they don't make a lot of movies and they really like awards. But still, I'll take the win. So as I said, some encouraging signs. But what is the story with Hollywood overall, and why is it taking so long to make movies we all love? After all, we know some make it through. What's going on with the rest? Well, the woke stuff is just made by the diehards. They know woke is over, they know nobody wants it, but this is their religion, so they're just going to keep making it. That's Disney and Netflix. These companies hired nothing but intersectional zealots for years and years and years. So now, even if the investors want a new direction for the company, that new directive is just going to be ignored.
It can't be stopped. It's self-sustaining now.
For the slop, I think it's a different story. I've come up with 3 ideas of how slop might be made. One is when a woke organization tries to shift away from that, but all the skills that everyone has is just ticking those DEI boxes, so when they try to do something else, they're just not trained for it. So it just comes out as bleh, nothing. I also think it could happen when there's an organization that's sort of in a state of civil war, where some people are clinging to the old ways and some people are actually trying to follow a new directive. So it kind of cancels out, and again, you just get nothing. Slop. And my third theory about slop is money men making decisions they shouldn't be making, or hiring people that have no business being involved. For example, a lot of when a company like Amazon or Apple gets involved, a lot of non-media people might get put into media positions where they make important decisions, where they might not be skilled enough for it, or worst case, they might not even be interested in the media. So disinterested money men who don't belong, I think, could also produce slop. However, this comes with a ray of hope. These disinterested money men may very well be our saving grace. Ordinarily, this state of affairs in Hollywood would indicate a deep skill decay across the board. That would mean Hollywood would have to start from scratch to build and replace skills that literally became a lost art. It would take decades. But these disinterested money men on the streaming end of things have access to all the streaming data, which will be screaming something very clearly to them. People want the old-fashioned stuff and they like it better. So they'll be looking for people who can make stuff like that. And they'll want to find them as fast as possible. So the streaming wars, which have arguably been the downfall of Hollywood, might actually save it, simply because tech companies adapt faster than media companies. It's already started with Apple and Amazon. You can see conscious effort to capture sort of an old-fashioned type of filmmaking. They're not doing it really well, but they're trying. That's one way I can see movies becoming great again. Another possibility is the theaters. They're feeling the heat a lot more than the studios. So if they found a way to open up distribution avenues to new and unproven talent to give people a shot, then I bet we can get talented people, the right people behind the camera again fairly quickly. I haven't heard anything to suggest that the theaters would do such a thing, but I know they're more and more desperate every year, so I think it's possible. As far as news goes for 2025, there are really only two big stories I want to cover. The first is Amazon gained full control over the James Bond films. I talked about this last year in the State of Movies address, where it seemed like it was going to be an impenetrable standoff between the Bond producers and Amazon. Well, things change, don't they? I openly admit that when I first heard the news, it was a gut punch. I felt like my close friend got diagnosed with terminal cancer. I thought for sure Bond was going to get the Rings of Power treatment. But since then, shock of all shocks, every bit of news I've heard out of it has been good news. Green flags. The director, good. The writer, good. The producers, good. I don't... It seems like Amazon might actually be good stewards. They fired the producer behind Rings of Power. Things, like I said, it seems like they might be adapting in the right direction. Things as they are, I would say odds are good that we'll at least get a good Bond movie. Maybe not great, but good. The second story I want to mention is K-pop Demon Hunters, which you've probably heard of. I have so much to say about this movie, but what it really comes down to is that it was shockingly good. Mind-blowingly good. Crazy good. This was easily my favorite of 2025. And that actually marks the third time in a row that my favorite movie of a given year was a movie I hadn't even heard about at the start of that year. I didn't know a movie could go where this movie went, thematically. The message of healing and acceptance hit in a way that I didn't know was possible. Top that off with super fun characters, world-class pacing, great humor, and the catchiest songs of the decade. And this movie is just irresistible. I cannot recommend it enough. That's it for 2025 and my predictions for the industry as a whole. The particulars I'm interested next year are only 4. Project Hail Mary looks like it could be good. The Odyssey should be good. Dune Part 3 should be good. And I have pretty high hopes for Godzilla Minus Zero, the follow-up to Godzilla Minus One. I don't know if Japanese sequels tend to be like American sequels, where 80% of the time they're not as good. But I'm looking forward to that one. But who knows? Maybe my favorite of 2026 will be a movie I haven't even heard of yet. Oh, yeah, there will be a new James Bond actor announced this year in 2026. Almost certainly. That's a big deal. That hasn't happened in more than 20 years, since I was in high school back in 2005. Right now, I'm intrigued most by the Austin Butler idea, but I'm really not going to play that guessing game. I hope we see more promising moves towards sanity and greatness again in movies again. And this concludes the State of Movies address. Now it's on to the collection update, starting with some basic numbers. I watched 187 movies in 2025. 8 were in theaters. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. I watched through the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy with my wife so that we could go see the 20th anniversary re-release of Revenge of the Sith, which it was her least favorite because she said that's the one where Anakin becomes a meanie head. Which is true. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which I felt was better than Dead Reckoning, Part 1, but not by much. I didn't really... The only scene I thought was incredible was the Sevastopol scene. F1, I would have gone to see this anyway, but I won some Facebook contest, and we got to see it in IMAX. An advanced screening. I really liked that one. Jurassic World Rebirth. This one I wanted to see because I'm a huge fan of Gareth Edwards since he did the 2014 Godzilla. Fantastic Four First Steps. I also won a contest there, or someone did. Maybe it was her. And we got to see that in IMAX as well. We were right near the front row, which made it, but whatever. It was actually surprisingly good. I thought it was going to be awful. The Naked Gun I saw with my brother. Very funny. I feel like the plot was too simple. Obviously, the plot's not the point, but if they just gave it something, I felt like it would have been more special. Freakier Friday. My wife and I both really love the original, and we wanted to see that one in theaters. It was, about what I expected. A 2025 Disney sequel. Avatar: Fire and Ash, which we saw in IMAX in 3D. This is the first time I've seen an Avatar movie in 3D, and I came out of it thinking, wow, so that's what a 3D movie is supposed to look like. I loved it. I really like those movies. 92 of the 187 were first-time watches. Some highlights there include A Dark Place. This movie has a different title in other territories. I'll put that on the screen because I don't remember what it is. I don't know. Just a standard sort of rural American drama presented by Brits. But the ending made it for me. Battle for the Planet of the Apes. I went through I saw the first 5, the original Apes movies, and finally, this one I just mentioned because it featured Paul Williams, the famed songwriter, as an ape, which I thought was great. The Count of Monte Cristo. Now there's a new French adaptation from 2024 that I saw, which, wow. First of all, the cinematography is more beautiful than anything even Roger Deakins has made. And I love Roger Deakins. But it's no wonder that it became the highest grossing French movie of all time. And of course, after I saw it, I heard that same crew made some Three Musketeers films the year prior. So I saw those. Part 1, D'Artagnan. Part 2, Milady. Which D'Artagnan had some of the most mind-blowing action I've ever seen in a movie. Other than that, it was okay, good. Milady kind of fell off, like everyone said it did. But I'm very, very eager to see what that production team comes up with next, and I want to see it in the theater. The Wages of Fear. I saw Sorcerer for the first time in 2024, and before I committed to buying Sorcerer, even though it came out on that beautiful Criterion 4K over the summer, before I committed to buying that, I wanted to see the other adaptation of the story, The Wages of Fear, a French movie from like the 50s or something. And Sorcerer is better. Far From Men. This was a random Viggo Mortensen movie from 2014. Kind of sticks with you. It feels like exactly the kind of movie Viggo Mortensen would want to make. Also, I'm pretty sure he's American, but out of nowhere, he's just speaking. It's a French movie. He's speaking French the whole time, which, I don't know, somehow it makes sense. Of course, Viggo Mortensen can speak French. It's just, of course. 71 of the 187 that I watched last year were streamed. 103 were on physical disc, plus the 8 in theaters. Now, that leaves 5 unaccounted for. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what happened there. Some kind of clerical error. 13 items were added to the collection this year, beginning with 4 film favorites girls' night collection, which my wife got for her birthday from her sister, featuring A Cinderella Story, What a Girl Wants, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and of course, Chasing Liberty. Deep Impact on 4K. I checked this out from the library. I had seen it before. I checked it out from the library last year and thought I'd like to own that. It's very good. Better than I remember, frankly. F1 on 4K. This is one that I came out of the theater like, I like that movie a lot and I want to own it. Doesn't happen that much these days, coming out of a theater feeling that way, but here I did. Also, I like to think that the guy, the part owner or whatever, who was also in Casino Royale, I like to think, in my headcanon, he's still playing Villiers from Casino Royale. But in my headcanon, Javier Bardem is not playing Silva. He's just not that into you. This is one that my wife bought because she missed it. Hulk. This I had this on a digital copy already. I wanted the 4K because, physical's better, but also because Ang Lee and the way he did this movie and the colors, I figured it would look amazing, and I already watched it. It was great. It Takes Two. This is the best version of The Parent Trap, even though it's not either one of the Parent Traps. It's just better. Hilarious movie. And this one I got for my birthday from my wife. Lagan, Once Upon a Time in India. This is a great movie that a friend of mine introduced me to more than 10 years ago, and I watched it once since then, and then I wanted to watch it again. I like the movie. It's a great movie. It's the only Bollywood movie I own. It's in Hindi. It's 4 hours long. There's musical numbers, and it's all about taxes and cricket in British occupied India. Someone once described it as Seven Samurai meets the Bad News Bears, and it couldn't be more right, but it's better than the Bad News Bears. Leap Year. This one was a birthday present to my wife from her sister. It's a movie. I have a review of this up. You can find out what I think of it there. The Muppet Christmas Carol, my favorite Christmas movie of all time. My wife got me this for my birthday this year. Sleeping Beauty. The reason I got this for Christmas. The reason I asked for it was because I love the aspect ratio, and I love how classic everything is, and I want stuff like that for when we have kids. and Sorcerer on the Criterion 4K. After I determined that I prefer this over Wages of Fear, I put it on my Christmas list, and my wife got me this for Christmas. Very special. Star Trek: The Next Generation, the complete series on Blu-ray. This is I love Star Trek, and I got this for Christmas. And Touched by an Angel, complete series. Here we have seasons 1 through 5 and seasons 6 through 9. These were a Christmas present to my wife. She really loves the show, and we've wanted desperately to watch it without ads when it is even on Amazon Prime. I love the show too. I think it's great. As you can tell, I love 90s TV. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really have a lot of fun making these. I hope you have a lot of fun watching them. If you want more like this, there's a playlist of State of Movies and collection updates. If you want to follow what I'm watching all the time, you can follow me on Letterboxd. There's a link for that in the description. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.